I found my wife was cheating on me after checking the security camera recordings for my house. For over 2 months, every single time I left for the gym, her friend would show up at our door. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm 38 years old, and I'm a cybersecurity consultant for a firm in Seattle. I specialize in digital forensics and threat analysis. My job is to find patterns, document evidence, and build airtight cases against people who think they're smarter than the systems designed to catch them. I never thought I'd be using those skills on my own marriage. The discovery happened on a Tuesday morning in March. I'd been running late for work and forgot my laptop charger. When I came back home 20 minutes after leaving, I saw a BMW parked in our driveway that I didn't recognize. Not in front of the house, actually in our drivage, bold. My wife Jessica's car was there too. She'd told me she was working from home that day, had a big presentation to prepare. I sat in my car for a moment, engine off, and something in my gut told me not to go inside yet. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and opened the security camera app on my phone. We'd installed the system 8 months earlier after a series of break-ins in our neighborhood. 4 cameras covering all entry points, motion activated, cloud storage for 90 days. I'd set it up myself, made sure Jessica knew how to access the footage if she ever needed to. What she didn't know was that I'd configured the system to send me alerts for any daytime activity when both our cars were supposed to be gone. I'd disabled those notifications on her app, old habit from my line of work, always keeping administrative access to myself. I rewound the footage to that morning. There I was, leaving for the gym at 6:30 a.m. like I did every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 47 minutes later, the BMW pulled up. A man got out, mid-30s, athletic build, wearing expensive casual clothes. He didn't knock. He used a key. My key, the spare we kept in the kitchen drawer for emergencies. He walked in like he owned the place. I didn't need to see more, but I watched anyway. I watched him walk upstairs. I watched through the hallway camera as he went into our bedroom. I sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours, drinking cold coffee, and I went through 8 weeks of footage. The pattern was surgical in its precision. Every single gym day, he arrived within an hour of my departure. He stayed for 2 to 3 hours, always left before I was due back. They'd been careful about the timing, but arrogant about everything else. His name was Tyler Morrison. It took me 15 minutes to identify him through a reverse image search from a clear camera still. He worked as a personal trainer at a gym downtown, not the one I went to. His social media was public, filled with motivational quotes and shirtless photos. He'd been commenting on Jessica's posts for months. I'd seen them, thought nothing of it. Great progress on those squats, with a fire emoji. You're crushing it, with a flexing arm. I thought he was just another one of those overly friendly fitness people. I didn't go home that day. I called in sick to work, which I never did, and I checked into a hotel. I needed time to think, to plan. My first instinct wasn't to confront. My first instinct was to document, verify, and prepare. That's what 15 years in cybersecurity teaches you. Evidence first, action second. Emotion gets locked in a box until the operation is complete. Over the next 2 weeks, I maintained perfect normalcy. I went to the gym on schedule. I came home and had dinner with Jessica. We watched TV together. We had sex twice. I smiled and asked about her day, and she lied to my face with the kind of ease that made me wonder how long she'd been practicing. Meanwhile, I was building a case that would have made my colleagues proud. I opened a new bank account at a different institution and started redirecting my paycheck there. I transferred half our joint savings to it, the exact half that represented my contributions over our 6 years of marriage. I'd kept meticulous records from the beginning, another professional habit. I photographed every valuable item in the house that I'd purchased before the marriage or received as gifts from my family. I downloaded every security camera file to 3 separate encrypted drives. I compiled Jessica's text messages. I'd had access to our family phone plan's cloud backup, and while I couldn't see encrypted apps, the standard SMS messages were damning enough. "He's gone, come over" appeared 47 times across 8 weeks. I contacted Martin Levy, a divorce attorney whose firm I'd done consulting work for 2 years prior. He owed me a favor after I'd recovered deleted emails that won his client a major case. I brought him the drives, the bank statements, the photographs, everything organized in clearly labeled folders with timestamps and chain of custody documentation. He looked through it for 30 minutes, and then he looked at me. Marcus, this is the most well-documented case of infidelity I've seen in 20 years of practice. Did you teach a class on this or something? I work in evidence collection, I said, just happens to be digital instead of criminal. Your wife doesn't know you have any of this? Not a clue. She thinks I'm oblivious. Her affair partner thinks I'm a workaholic who ignores his wife. They got comfortable. People always do. Martin smiled, not kindly, but with the expression of a man who knew he was about to destroy someone in court. When do you want to file? Friday. I'll serve her the papers at home. I want to see her face. That Friday, I left for the gym at my usual time. Tyler showed up 42 minutes later. I watched on my phone from the parking lot as he let himself in. Then I turned around and drove back. I had a process server named Linda waiting 2 blocks away. She was 60 years old, had been doing this for 30 years, and nothing surprised her anymore. I opened the front door quietly. Tyler's shoes were by the entrance, next to Jessica's. I could hear them upstairs, hear my wife's voice saying things she'd stopped saying to me about a year ago. I didn't go up. I sat down on the living room couch, and I waited. Linda waited outside in her car. 20 minutes later, they came downstairs. Jessica was wearing one of my old t-shirts and nothing else. Tyler was shirtless, carrying his gym bag. They were laughing about something. Then they saw me. The look on Jessica's face wasn't guilt, not at first. It was annoyance, like I'd interrupted something important. Tyler just froze, his athlete's reflexes apparently not extending to social situations. "Marcus, what are you doing home?" Jessica asked, and her voice was steady. She was already preparing her story. I could see it. "I live here," I said. "Question is, why does he have a key to my house?" Tyler looked at Jessica. Jessica looked at the door. Neither of them said anything for a long moment. "It's not what it looks like," she finally said, which was possibly the stupidest thing she could have said, given that she was barely dressed and he was shirtless in our living room at 8 a.m. on a Friday. "It's exactly what it looks like," I said. "It's been exactly what it looks like for 63 days. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sometimes Saturdays when I went to the office. You've been very consistent. I appreciate that, actually. Made the documentation much easier." That's when her face changed. That's when the fear came in. "Documentation?" she said. I pulled out my phone and played a clip from the security cameras. Tyler entering the house. Tyler going upstairs. Tyler leaving 3 hours later. I showed her the timestamps, showed her the pattern. She went pale.
"You've been watching?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I've been collecting evidence," I said. "There's a difference. Watching would be emotional. This was professional." Tyler finally found his voice. "Man, look, I didn't know you two were having problems. Jessica said you were basically separated, just living together for financial reasons." I looked at him, really looked at him, and I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. "We're not separated, we're married. We own this house together. We share finances. We had sex 4 days ago. Does that sound separated to you?" He looked at Jessica. "You said, 'Get out,'" I told him, "now, and leave the key." He put the key on the coffee table, grabbed his shoes, and left without putting them on. I watched through the window as he ran to his car barefoot. Then I turned to Jessica. "Linda," I called out. The process server came through the front door. Jessica backed up against the wall. "Jessica Ann Chen, I'm serving you with divorce papers. You've been served." Linda handed her the manila envelope and left. Jessica opened it with shaking hands. She read the first page, then the second, and then she looked up at me. "You're asking for the house, full custody of our assets, and you're claiming adultery? Marcus, we can talk about this. We can go to counseling." "I don't negotiate with people who lie to me for 2 months," I said. "Everything you need to know is in there. I've moved half the savings to a separate account, the half I contributed. I've documented every asset I brought into this marriage. I've compiled 63 days of security footage showing your affair partner entering and leaving our home. I have text messages, I have hotel receipts I found in your car, and I have credit card statements showing purchases at restaurants we've never been to together. Your attorney is going to tell you to settle because you have no defense." "You're really going to do this? Destroy our marriage over a mistake?"
63 days isn't a mistake, it's a choice. You made it every time he showed up and you opened that door. She started crying then, the kind of theatrical crying that might have worked on me a year ago. Now it just looked like strategy. "Where am I supposed to go?" she asked. "Not my problem anymore. You have 30 days to find a place. That's in the papers. Everything's very clear." I left her standing there in my t-shirt, holding divorce papers, crying in the house she was about to lose. I drove to my office and I worked for 12 hours straight. I didn't think about her. I didn't think about Tyler. I thought about code and systems and the elegant beauty of a plan executed perfectly. The next week was predictable. Jessica's mother called me furious, calling me cold and heartless. I let her talk until she ran out of steam, then I asked if she'd want her daughter to stay with a man who cheated on her for 2 months. She hung up on me. Jessica's father called me 2 days later, apologized for his wife, and asked if there was any chance we could work it out. I told him I respected him too much to lie to him. There wasn't. Tyler apparently lost his job. Word got around about why a married woman's husband had shown up at his gym to inform management about their trainer's home visits to clients. The gym had a morality clause in their contracts, very strict about relationships with clients. Jessica hadn't been his client officially, but the optics were bad enough. I didn't go there to ruin him. I went there because his boss had a right to know what kind of person was representing their business. Professional courtesy. Jessica hired an attorney, Daniel Whitmore, who had a reputation for aggressive tactics in divorce cases. He called Martin to negotiate. "Your client is being unreasonable," he said. "My client is willing to admit the affair, but contests the asset division. She contributed to the household. She deserves half of everything." "Tell your client to check the prenuptial agreement she signed," Martin said. "Page 7, Section 3, Infidelity Clause. In the event of proven adultery, the faithful spouse retains all premarital assets and all assets purchased with their individual income. We have documentation showing that 92% of marital assets were purchased with Mr. Chen's income. Mrs. Chen has been unemployed for 4 of their 6 years of marriage." There was a long silence on the other end. "She signed a prenup?" "She did. Mr. Chen had it notarized and witnessed by 2 attorneys. It's ironclad. We have 3 separate handwriting analysts who verified her signature if you'd like to contest authenticity." Whitmore called back 2 hours later. Jessica wanted to talk to me directly. I declined. All communication would go through attorneys. That's how professionals handle these situations. The divorce proceeded quickly. Jessica tried to drag it out, hoping I'd get tired and settle. What she didn't understand was that patience was my primary professional skill. I could wait years if necessary. She couldn't. She was living in a 1-bedroom apartment her sister was paying for, using credit cards that were about to be canceled once the judge signed the order separating our finances. That order came 3 weeks after filing. Judge Patricia Morrison, no relation to Tyler as far as I knew, reviewed my documentation in chambers with both attorneys present. She spent 90 minutes going through the security footage, the text messages, the financial records. Then she came back with a preliminary ruling. "I've been a family court judge for 18 years, she said. "I've never seen a case this well documented. Mr. Chen, your evidence is overwhelming and frankly unprecedented. Mrs. Chen, your attorney has advised you to settle, I assume." Jessica's attorney nodded. Jessica didn't respond. "I'm issuing a preliminary order. All joint accounts are frozen pending final division. Mrs. Chen, you have 22 days remaining to vacate the marital home. The house is awarded to Mr. Chen as a premarital asset confirmed by deed and mortgage documents showing sole ownership prior to marriage. Mrs. Chen is entitled to half the appreciated value during the marriage, which amounts to $17,000 based on the current appraisal. This will be paid out over 12 months at Mr. Chen's discretion. All other assets are being divided according to the prenuptial agreement. Do you contest this ruling?" Jessica looked at her attorney. He shook his head. "Then we'll finalize in 60 days. I suggest you use that time to reflect on your choices, Mrs. Chen." The final hearing was in May, exactly 61 days after I served the papers. Jessica showed up with Tyler, which was possibly the worst strategic decision she could have made. Judge Morrison noticed immediately. "Is this the individual from the security footage, Mrs. Chen?" Jessica's attorney looked like he wanted to disappear. Your Honor, Mr. Morrison is here for moral support. Mr. Morrison can wait outside. This is a legal proceeding, not a social event. Tyler left. Jessica sat alone at her table, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. The judge reviewed the final settlement, confirmed all asset divisions, and signed the decree. 6 years of marriage dissolved in 45 minutes. I walked out of that courthouse and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no sadness. Just the quiet calm of a job completed correctly. Jessica tried to talk to me on the steps, said she was sorry, said she'd made a mistake, said she still loved me. I kept walking. Tyler was waiting by her car. They deserved each other. That was 18 months ago. I'm 40 years old now, still working in cybersecurity, still living in the same house. I renovated the bedroom, replaced everything that reminded me of Jessica.
I started dating someone new, a woman named Sarah who works in criminal justice. She knows the whole story. I told her on our third date because I don't do secrets anymore. She asked if I'd do the same thing again. Document everything and protect myself? Absolutely. No, I mean, would you handle it so coldly? No confrontation, no emotion, just evidence and strategy? That's how you win, I said. Emotion makes you sloppy. Planning makes you prepared. She smiled at that. Remind me never to piss you off. I still have the security footage, backed up on 3 separate drives, encrypted and stored in different locations. I'll probably never delete it. Not because I'm bitter, but because it's a reminder that trusting people doesn't mean being stupid about it. Verify, document, prepare. Those aren't just work principles, they're life principles. I heard through mutual friends that Jessica and Tyler stayed together for about 6 months after the divorce, then split up. Apparently, he got paranoid that she was cheating on him, kept checking her phone and tracking her location. The irony wasn't lost on me. Jessica's working retail now, living with her sister, trying to rebuild her credit after the divorce settlements. Her social media went private. She deleted most of the photos from our marriage. Tyler's working at a different gym, smaller place, lower pay. He apparently tells people I was controlling and abusive, that he rescued Jessica from a bad situation. I don't correct the record. People who need to believe lies will believe them regardless of evidence. The truth is documented, time-stamped, and backed up in multiple locations. That's enough for me. My business is doing well. I got promoted to senior consultant, handling major corporate cases now. The skills that helped me document my wife's affair are the same skills that help companies protect themselves from internal threats. I'm good at finding patterns, spotting anomalies, building cases that can't be refuted. It's satisfying work. Sarah moved in 3 months ago. We're talking about getting married, but we're taking it slow. She suggested a prenup, and I nearly proposed to her on the spot. We keep our finances separate, we have open access to each other's phones and accounts, we communicate about everything. It's not romantic in the traditional sense, but it's honest. After Jessica, honest is exactly what I need. Sometimes I think about that Tuesday morning, sitting in my car in the driveway, seeing that BMW and choosing to drive away instead of going inside. That moment changed everything. I could have burst in, confronted them, let my anger drive my decisions. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop and I started building a case. That choice, that single decision to be strategic instead of emotional, saved me thousands of dollars and months of legal battles. People ask if I regret marrying Jessica, if I wish I'd seen the signs earlier. I don't regret it. I learned more about human nature and self-protection in those 6 years than I'd learned in my entire life before. I learned that people will lie to you with tears in their eyes. I learned that trust without verification is just naivety. I learned that the best revenge isn't emotional outbursts or property destruction or public humiliation. The best revenge is documentation, preparation, and watching someone's poorly constructed lies collapse under the weight of irrefutable evidence. I still have one photo of Jessica, the last one before I discovered everything. We're at a restaurant celebrating our 6th anniversary. She's smiling at the camera, her hand on mine, and if you didn't know better, you'd think we were happy. I keep it in my desk drawer at work, not out of sentimentality, but as a reminder. People lie. Cameras don't. Systems don't. Evidence doesn't. When someone shows you who they are through their actions, believe them. And when they try to convince you otherwise with their words, have documentation ready. That's the lesson I learned from 63 days of security footage.
That's what I tell anyone going through something similar. Don't get mad, get evidence. Don't confront until you're prepared. Don't negotiate from emotion. Build your case like you're going to trial, even if you never do. Because the person who has the best documentation isn't the person who's right. They're the person who can prove they're right. And in court, in life, in everything that matters, proof is the only currency that counts.